Hey, so yeah, it's been a long time since I've made a video, and a lot has been going on in my life, and a lot that I've been thinking about and struggling with, and just wanted to make a video for the sake of continuity and for my own personal records. So, I'm supposed to be, fingers crossed, getting my letter for T from my counselor on Thursday, August 11th. And as I've known about this for about 2 weeks, and it's still not like, it doesn't mean that I'll be starting on Thursday. I still have to wait and meet with the family doctor and get a physical and get an appointment with the endocrinologist, and the entire process could take months. But as the date approaches, I've been sort of feeling really conflicted, and wanted to talk about some of those things, I guess. It's weird because this has been something that I've been thinking about for, sorry, a text message. Something that I've been thinking about and working towards for a year. And it was last year at the Transmasculine camping trip, which was the second weekend in August, that I first considered the possibility of starting T. And I think it's really ironic and serendipitous that the Thursday before I'm supposed to be going on the same camping trip, I'm going to be getting my letter. So that's interesting. Um, and it's strange because I've been thinking about it a lot and was hoping that I would feel more calm about the possibility of starting T, but have really been fluctuating between excitement and uncertainty. And it's getting to a point where all of the systemic barriers are gone, and the only deciding factor left is for me internally to realize, is this something that I want or not? And that question is becoming overwhelming. I haven't really been talking about it, but I'm starting to talk about it more. And it's when I have conversations with cis friends and I talk about feeling uncertain, they're like, well, if you don't know, you shouldn't do it. Like, it's going to change your body forever. You're making a big decision. If you don't know, don't do it. Which I don't really think is useful advice. And also have talked briefly with some friends who have taken T, have been on T, and who are more solidly male identified than I am. And they talk about their experiences as just, being sure and ready and excited. And I wish that I shared that same sort of certainty. So it's confusing, especially when I feel that there is like a division between my experience and their experience. And I think that exploring my uncertainty is crucial to. Exploring that uncertainty is crucial for me to understand my own experience and realize what decision would be best for me. And I have been taking a break from theorizing about gender and compartmentalizing it into identities, but I think that that's the most useful way for me to talk about it right now. So I think that, like, my conflict is between feeling trans and also feeling genderqueer. Because I feel like I am trans in that I view my body as trans, and that the way that I relate to my body is trans, and I identify my body dysphoria as being related to transness, while also simultaneously feeling genderqueer in a really fundamental way, where I feel like, in a very deep level, my gender identity does not fit into the categories of male and female, and having these two things and trying to figure out a way to negotiate them and express that in ways that feel good and feel right. So I think that there's two main points where I'm struggling, and when I say struggling, but it's really just it's been overwhelming to the point where it's becoming difficult to function. It's been intense. So yeah, the first thing, and I have notes. I'm sorry, I keep looking over, but yeah, the first main point that I feel like I'm struggling on is the reality of having a non-binary gender within a binary system. Go figure. You know? Okay, because, like, and realizing that at the end of the day, regardless of how I identify and regardless of what I can communicate or theorize about or read about, still having to live within a binary system, and that people are gonna place me in that. The majority of people that I interact with are gonna place me in that, and that people are going to make a lot of assumptions about me and about my gender and about my body, and that ultimately I have to pick a base sex. When people look at me or interact with me, they're going to generally assume that I have a penis or a vagina, right? And I have to pick a base to go with, and I have to pick a base sex upon which to express my gender identity, which is complicated when I feel like I don't fundamentally identify within that system, and I feel like condensing it to in trying to condense myself into those terms, I'm gonna end up losing a part of myself, which is terrifying. And the other thing that I'm struggling with is realizing that the way that I live my life now is not sustainable. Living in between, you know, being read primarily as female while also identifying as trans and genderqueer, and also living as female and expressing masculinity, or living life right now as like a trans-identified person not on hormones, like these things hurt too much emotionally, mentally, and physically to keep doing them. Like something has to change because I'm not happy. Which is where the desire for change comes from. Which is where the desire to change my body comes from. I'm feeling increasingly anxious and dysphoric, and especially with feeling invisible and also misgendered. I constantly feel invalidated, and when I feel invalidated, I start to feel self-doubt, and I start to feel crazy, while also triggering body dysphoria. And so sometimes I have these two things going on where I'm like, what? I'm not trans, what are you talking about? I'm just a woman, while also feeling like everything about the body that I'm in is wrong. And like having those both happen simultaneously, and like not knowing how to deal with it. There's no resources to deal with it. There's nothing to do when I'm in that stage except want to crawl inside of myself and die, which I don't actually want to do, but it just feels overwhelming. So, yeah, I mean, I guess that's where my struggle is, between feeling like something has to change and feeling like my life is not sustainable, while also feeling that, you know, if I physically, medically transition my body to be read socially as male, we'll lose aspects of my identity, which I think are core and fundamental to my well-being, and not feeling sure about where to go with that. Yeah, I don't know. And I'm mostly making this video, I think, because I feel like there are probably other people who have had similar experiences or have similar questions, or perhaps I feel like there's not a lot of conversations within trans communities about the sort of mental and emotional processes leading towards transition. I feel like we're really good at, you know, giving each other the names for therapists and for giving each other advice on logistics and those sort of things and documenting the changes, but I don't know, need more conversation about what it feels like or how you make those decisions. Or maybe I just need that. Yeah, so anyways, that's where I'm at right now.